rich, yummy, scrumptious, delicious meat pie. Topped with yogurt or ice cream. Yummy for the tummy. Okay, that's enough. Want to know how I do this nice and scrumptious meat pie? Stay tuned. What we will need is butter, self-raising flour, a bowl to mix it up in. What I have here is salt and grated nutmeg. And for the filling, I'll be using corned beef, spring onion, and olive oil for frying the filling. Okay guys, so the first thing I'm gonna do is to start off with my filling. And as I said before, I'll be using corned beef with this. You can also use baked beans, some people use minced beef, whatever the choice is fine. I normally prefer my meat pie without any filling, but I'm not just doing it for myself, so I'm gonna have to add in the filling. Anyway, so the oil goes in whilst the frying pan heats up, and the oil I put in is just about maybe 2 tablespoons of oil that went in. And remember, I'm using olive oil for this one. And the next thing I'm using is my spring onion. Again, some use the red onions or the white ones, but I decided to use spring onions this time. And so I fry the onions, and then I will add in my corned beef. So when the corned beef goes in, it shouldn't take long. This is actually the easiest part to do. When the corned beef goes in, all you need to do is just get it mixed up. And I added just a little bit, like a pinch of salt to it, just to, the corned beef is quite salty, but it's not too much. So just a pinch of salt to it to mix up. And that's how I do the filling. Okay, now to the main thing. The first thing that goes in is my butter. Now, I want this meat pie to be quite buttery, so I'm going to use the whole 1 kg of butter. So I start off by mixing it gradually. I put in the butter first, and then I put in my flour. So what I'll be doing is I'll just mix both of them up, and as desired, I'll be adding on the butter and the self-raising flour. And then the next thing I will do is I will add maybe 2 pinches of my nutmeg in there, and when that is all mixed up, I will add a bit of water to the desired texture of how I want it. I usually like my meat pie quite crunchy, so I will do it to the desired texture as I want it. So stay tuned and watch how it's all mixed up. Right, so we're nearly done. Next thing I'm going to do is get my glass worktop ready as well as my rolling pin. But before that, what I have to do is sprinkle some flour over the worktop as well as the rolling pin, and this is basically just to help that the dough will not come apart whilst I'm rolling, because you do realize that as you're rolling, you either get it splitting up or some of the dough will just be all tearing apart. So when you put the flour over the work surface as well as the rolling pin, it helps with it. So you take manageable chunks and you work with that. And so what I'm going to be doing is I will just roll it to the desired shape or size that I want, or thickness as I want, and then I will go ahead and I will use another small bowl to do my cutting now. Now people have cutters, which is fine, or you can use a knife, which is fine. I just prefer to use a round bowl because I don't have a cutter, and that is also fine. So after I've cut it all out, what I'm going to do next is I'll put my corned beef inside it, and then I will seal it up by using a fork to just seal up the ends of it. So stay tuned and keep watching.
You're a miracle worker. You're a destiny changer. Udini ayabide. Enti yenyo binye bida. Yenyo binye bida. Yenyo binye bida. Henya Amoanimah. Century.
And now onto the final stage. So I've got my first batch of meat pie to go into the oven, but before I do that, the way the meat pie usually looks scrumptious or brownish on the top, this is the secret. Shh, don't tell anyone I told you that. But anyway, what I do is I put evaporated milk on the top, and that is what gives it that brownish looking meat pie. So I will usually use a cooking brush, but I don't have one, so I use a spatula. So you put that on the top and it's ready to go into the oven. And so in this case, I put the oven to 150 degrees and I leave it for an hour to bake, and voila, there you have it. A special thank you to my big sis Debbie, you are an inspiration, and also to Mami Efua and Sister Barbara. Love you all, and last but not least to Sister Diana Hamilton, you rock.